This is a story about a mother whose vision of love runs so deep that she'll do anything to keep her son by her side, even if that means cutting his life short. In the short film Munchausen, a mother is saddened as she watches her son prepare to head off to college. She helps him pack with a smile on her face, but everything changes the moment he leaves. At school, the son flourishes. He's on the football team, excelling in his classes, and he's even in debate club. And like a cherry on top of a sundae, he's capturing hearts as well. By graduation, he's made such an impact on the lives around him that everyone believes he will someday change the world. But as his life changes for the better, the mother's life becomes darker, and the longer she's away from her son, the more lonely she becomes. His absence has left a dark, decrepit hole in her heart that she can't seem to fill. Everything reminds her of him, from the pictures along the walls to the toys hidden in the backyard. When he returns home, the mother watches as her son packs away his things to head into his new life, and in doing so, something in her snaps. She can't let him go no matter how hard she tries. Desperate, she finds the feel-bad medicine at the back of her cupboard and pours it into his food. But the moment she's in front of him, she realizes just how crazy her plan is. She turns to walk away, but it's too late. Her son has already taken a bite. Time ticks by and her mind is swimming with guilt. And when her son gets sick, she's quick to tuck him into bed. When his condition gets worse, she calls the doctor, but he can't seem to figure out what's wrong with the boy. Despite how horrible he feels, the son keeps hope alive because he knows that in 2 days' time, he will be off to start his new life. But day after day, the mother continues to feed her son, and eventually the time for her son to leave is long gone. The pain he's in gets worse and worse, yet she believes everything will be okay. That is until her son passes away right in front of her eyes, and she's forced to face the consequences of her own actions. This film not only deals with abuse, but it shows the harm of confusing obsession with love, and displays the very real disorder that is Munchausen by proxy. Munchausen by proxy is defined as a mental disorder where a caregiver causes harm to a person under their care. The victims are usually vulnerable people, making this disorder a form of abuse. A famous case of MSBP was seen in the case of Gypsy Rose, whose mother Dee Dee induced and faked her daughter's illness in order to get public attention. Eventually, things got so bad that Gypsy didn't see any way out of her situation and ended up convincing her online boyfriend to take her mother's life. Even though the mother in this film suffers from the same affliction as Dee Dee, their motivations are slightly different. Whereas Gypsy's mom craved the attention she received from the public, the mother in this film craved her son's attention. As I watched this film, I wondered exactly how Munchausen by proxy develops, and I found that there is no definitive cause, but a lack of attention during childhood is said to be the culprit. In the mother's case, the only people she interacted with were her husband and her son. The husband in the film appeared clueless to everything going on, leading me to wonder if the lack of attention from her husband made the mother crave attention elsewhere. Since her son was the only other person in her life, she set her eyes on him. There's a scene where the mother is digging up weeds in her garden and finds one of her son's old toys buried beneath the dirt. In the end, that same garden is dead and withered, with the same toy buried within the decrepit garden. The garden can be used as symbolism for many things. One thing it can symbolize is the boy. While he was away to college, the garden flourished just as he had. When he died, the garden died along with it. The garden may also symbolize the mother's mental state. Although she was saddened by her son's absence, she still loved him. But as her love burned into a dangerous obsession that resulted in her son's death, her mind deteriorated just as the dying garden had. To add on to the notion of love and obsession, this film forces us to reflect on the relationship between the mother and her son. Although she was made out to love her son, her actions displayed otherwise. Her initial serving of the drug sandwich made it aware that she knew it was wrong to do so, because she almost changed her mind. Yet despite understanding that she was causing harm towards her son, she kept doing it. Maybe she didn't think things would lead to death. Maybe she thought she could get him sickly enough to rely on her forever. But in doing this, she had given in to her dangerously obsessive idea. Adding on to the discussion of love versus obsession, I found myself wondering, at what point does one lead into the other? For this case specifically, was it when the mother first drugged him, or did it happen before that? There was a moment in the film where the father showed the mother a newspaper clipping of a musician coming to town. When the father showed her, she wasn't interested. But in the next scene, when the son gave her his headphones so she could listen to the music he'd been listening to, she was as happy as could be. It's insinuated that the son had been listening to the musician the father had been showing his wife, which displays that she was only interested once her son showed interest. In the next scene, She's seen watching her son pack away his things, mirroring the scene from the beginning when he was packing away to head off to college. In the beginning, the mother had given her son a photo of them to take with him, but in the later scene, her eyes land on the calendar, which is marked with his moving out date. Perhaps this was the exact moment she began to panic. In the earlier scene, she understood that he was coming back to her, but now in the later scene, she knew this was her final moment with him. In the end, one of the scariest parts about this film was that her illness was left undiagnosed and therefore untreated. Nobody but the mother understood what was actually going on. The doctor was perplexed, and the father and son were just as clueless. And just like Dee Dee, the mother in this film was allowed to spread her chaos without anyone noticing. Munchausen by proxy is a very real disorder that happens even today, and part of me wonders just how common that disorder actually is. Just as it was clear to the viewers of this film that the mother was suffering from some sort of affliction, I wonder how easy it would be to spot in real life. Because mothers are the symbol of love. They love their children unconditionally and will do anything to stop them from getting into harm's way. But would an outsider looking in understand that sometimes the love a mother shows is actually danger lurking beneath the surface? It really makes you wonder just how often these public displays of great affection are actually dangerous displays of obsession.